interesting solutions and some good experience we'd like to share with you. So we'll talk about introducing the IDM in Yandex.Money. The things I'm going to talk about will be universal. So we understand that the companies are unique, each and every one of them, but still I'll talk about the general universal things, and hopefully you'll be able to use it for your specific environment. So when we introduce the IDM system, we are not focusing on customizing the product. So we do it anyway, that's clear. At the same time, we try to kind of look broader beyond this, to see what is related to the system, whom it talks to, whom he gets data from and sends it to. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. I'll talk about our solution in this. We'll consider a standard process of hiring a person. So not exactly recruiting, but rather hiring. Okay, a standard situation. We have a new staff member, and this guy matches us, we match him, so the guy takes our offer. So, as the guy from La Moda said, on the first day of work, everything should be ready. So the workstation should be good to start the work. But that's the end of the story. It all begins with accepting the offer. Okay, so what is the new guy for us? Well, cynically speaking, we need some credentials for documenting. This is national ID, the taxpayer identifier, the pension fund identifier. We also ask for the name and surname in Latin, so we need the scans of documents, photo for the badge, also the email, mobile phone, Yandex.Money wallet, and so on. So the guy works for a company, so for some time he has collected all those documents, opening the personal email, then attached the documents, and it was sent to the HR. The HR received a letter, opened the email, opened the archive, and opening every file. The HR guys had to manually copy all this data in the HR, into the HR sources. Well, okay, what's wrong with this? Well, number one, lawyers can easily say that there are some private data issues here. The staff didn't give us any consent. Well, sure, they provided the documents on their own, but still you can find fault with us here. The second thing, too much time was spent by the poor HR guys trying to register the new staff in the HR source. So this is the number one issue we are focused on. So at the end of the story, we have the IDM, because it provides access. What does it need to provide all this access and entitlements? So the HR information, the request, and the manager's approval, and the login. I don't know about your case, but in our case, the login was invented by the help people. So these are the people who received notifications saying that new people came with this name and surname. Let us make a good login for them. So ideally, which would look like the name, for instance, or have some similar sound to it. And then we decided to use a robot for this. We tried to make a script which would add the first letters of the name to the beginning or to the end of the login, but anyway, the result was considered by the help desk staff, and they considered whether the login was good and beautiful, because sometimes the script generated very funny options. So we thought about it, how to do it, because this is again the manual effort, how to get rid of it. Who should come up with a login for our staff. We decided to make it easy. We wanted the new staff to generate their logins on their own. So this is a manual thing, so we have a tool responsible for checking whether this login is already used, and another tool let us see whether there are any dirty words used in the login, and we told them, please guys, go ahead and invent your login on your own. And then we continued. We said, okay, in our life we fill in a lot of questionnaires for the mortgage, for buying tickets, for booking online and railway travel, and we decided to use the same thing. The login forced us into having a new questionnaire for the new staff member, and these staff members fill in all the necessary data. So all the things I initially mentioned are here. Here they attach to the scanned copies of the document, they fill in their login, and they tick it, which is really important. They tick their consent for transfer and processing of their personal data. This way, the login forced us into this solution. This might seem quite cynical in a way, because in the past it was done by us, and now we ask them to do it. So we have implemented this, and we haven't received any negative feedback on this. Just again, because in our life this is well standardized, and people are not surprised by it. What do we have as a result of it? As I have already mentioned, the HR girls used to do it on their own, manually, but now we use the questionnaire as a tool. It is filled in on their own, and this questionnaire is a simple ODS questionnaire made by our developers. It is sent by a link. It is filled in, then press send. We have a parser for the HR source. This is parsed in an automatic fashion. The documents are uploaded and with all the annexes, and all of that goes to the IDM. That's it. This brief and good solution I want to share with you. Maybe that's something you have already done, maybe everybody does it, but it is quite new for us. So if you haven't done it, please take it and use it, because it saves a lot of time for your staff, and it also reduces the costs of any stages for granting access. Thank you. I have a couple of questions. Number one, can the user change the login they invented? That's the first question. And the second question, say people work, then they get fired, and then they come back. They have things like that? Okay. And in this case, what will be the login for them? Thank you. Thank you. That's a very good question. We haven't had a single case when the staff member would ask the login to be changed. Well, they usually ask, for instance, they say, we don't want to show our email. Then we make the email aliases for them. So no issues here, no limits. So we implement this, and when the new staff pick the login, we see whether it is picked. So we choose, we will look at the list of the logins and the email aliases. And the second question. we don't delete information on the previous stuff. So the namespace is filled with a new entry every time. And in this questionnaire, we have a tick a tick space like I'm a former staff member. If they tick this, then the login line is blanked out, and some manual input is needed because we look for this guy using some parameters into our system. We find the login, and then we send this to the IDM. So the beginning of the journey. The identity life cycle, when does it start? When they become staff members, or when they just come as applicants? Say, can they have an identity in the system, but for some reason they changed their mind and they don't work for the company, but the ID is still there? That's a good question. Well, if going back to the beginning of the life cycle, the life cycle begins only when the HR source provides information on the new stuff, and there they have the release date field. And within 2 working days, we generate all this. Why 2 working days? Because we have quite a lot of offline systems, and the only online system is Active Directory. So the 2 working days is something we have, and this is enough. So they fill in the questionnaire. This is provided to the hiring system. Then the HR test things. They examine things whether they are exactly what they should be like, whether it's national identity, what is attached. And all of that then goes to the IDM. So from the filling to the IDM time, well, a couple of hours might elapse, and it also depends on the day of the week. The IDM system gets this information, and within 2 working days we started. And if the staff member, for some reasons, decides against working with us, and if this happens within 2 days, the HR source will let us know. So canceling the hiring, I believe all of you have it, or more or less all of you. So the HR source can tell us, guys, sorry, a cancel request came. Okay, that's fine. But if this happened after the 2 days, I mean, we have already generated a request for the admins, for connections, and so on. So this is quite nasty. We need to recall everything. So we switch off the requests. We stop the requests, and we remove this and delete it. Well, this is nasty, and this happens, but quite rarely. In one identity in the IDM system, yeah, the guy is still there. So we believe, say that this guy has worked for us. And the next time, if the guy comes to us again, for some reason, then everything will be ready.